Starring Svengoolie. This is Nick DiGilio inviting you to join Svengoolie and his guests, David Arquette, David Naughton, and now here's Svengoolie.
Were you calling me Ben? No, thank you so much. It's nice to be here. Every year we have a lot of fun here at Flashback Weekend, which we like to call Lollapalooza with less music and even less mud. So you might want to call this the Night of the Living Daves, because we've got two fun actors who are both named David, amazingly. I was going to change my name to David Gooley, but we thought that wouldn't quite work. We want you to please enjoy meeting these two guys, and we're going to start off with a guy. This guy has done everything. He is in a great movie that we ran earlier this year on my show. He's done sitcoms, had a big hit record. He's done everything. And I think he's ready to meet you, David Naughton.
Hi, everybody. It works.
For once, yeah.
Yes.
David, I got to tell you, earlier this year in April, we ran American Werewolf in London on our show.
And
the viewers were just ecstatic.
Oh, good. Well, this is what 45 years later looks like, okay, guys?
That's right, this is like the 45th anniversary of that movie?
It would be, if I can count correctly. Yeah, 1981.
Wow.
Come on.
I have to tell you a story about that movie. I went on my first movie theater date with this young lady to that movie. She was so frightened, she spent most of it with her face in my shoulder and, holding on to me for dear life. And she's now been my wife for a long time. So.
How about that? Another success story.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that movie. It's always been one of my favorites. People bring up the fact that it was kind of a horror comedy at a time that nobody was doing that type of thing.
No, that's true. This is John Landis. He wrote it when he was 21 years old, if you can imagine.
Wow.
He was working as a production assistant on a movie called Kelly's Heroes. You remember Kelly's Heroes?
Sure.
Yeah, well, John was like the lowest on the totem pole as a production assistant, which is kind of a gopher guy. But he had this idea of, wow, werewolves, and they were shooting in Romania or in Eastern Europe. Mm-hmm. And so he wrote this screenplay, which is the story that we shot. I mean, it's really amazing when you think it holds up pretty well. It was, but to be written at 21, his first attempt. And this was something that he was going to do. He said, one day I'll make my werewolf movie. Well, he was unknown, and then he came along with, a couple of successful films. Animal House, which of course you remember, and the Blues Brothers, shot in Chicago. And so it was by the success, with the success of those films, he was finally able to say, okay, now it's time to do my werewolf movie.
Now, I heard a story, and you hear things, and there's all sorts of myths that come around this, that when he was first going to cast the movie, that the big shots after the success of Blues Brothers wanted the two lead characters to be Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi. Now, is that true, or?
I don't know that. To me, that's not the story I tell. But no. It very well could be. You know, John was approached by a lot of people that he knew, he had worked with. They were obviously, you know, very successful with that film. And so it was just, you know, I had one day got a call from my agent saying, okay, you're going to meet John Landis tomorrow. It was, you know, you're going to have a drive on. That's a big deal, where you get to drive on the lot and park, you know, anywhere you want, in an assigned place, and go in and meet this guy. So that's how it worked for me, was going in and meeting him. And it was really just based on that interview. You know, we had a chance to talk. I didn't really know what he looked like. Suddenly this young guy, jeans, comes in the room, and I go, this is John. I mean, we're practically the same age. And we talked, and he wanted to know what it was like being a pepper, which is something I knew a lot about. And although he was this avid Tab drinker, how many remember Tab?
Sure, yeah.
I mean, you can't even mix Tab with anything, you know? But he even had it shipped to England, if you can imagine, during the shoots. He says, yeah, my case of Tab arrived, we can shoot the movie, so.
Now, is this one true? When you first met Rick Baker, was the first thing he did apologize to you for what you were going to be going through?
Well, yeah, he said, you know, based on this interview I had with John, he gave me the script, said, read this, and call me tomorrow, writes down his office number. I went home, called, you know, read it. There's little things like you see one line, David transforms into a werewolf. Oh, turn the page. You know, you can wonder what that's like. The next day I called him, he said, hey, you want to be a werewolf? You know, I go, well, yeah. Well, he says, I need you to get over and meet with Rick Baker right away. He's waiting for who's going to be cast as the two boys, as they called them. So when I got to meet Rick, he said, what part are you playing? I said, I'm David Naughton, I'm playing David. He goes, I feel sorry for you. True story. Now, I didn't know what he meant, but I found out pretty quickly. You know, we did some, all the preliminary, you know, makeup, all the, you know, my arms in a cast. And I don't mean in a cast like you broke your arm. I mean, these were casts that they were making to have an actual...
They make the mold of your arms.
The molds of my arms and my legs, which were, you know, kind of weird in a strange way. You put your whole leg in a big vat of this quick drying cement. And that took a day or so, and then he came back for the big finale, which was my head. Okay, now we got to do your head. I go, how are you going to do that? I go, well, we're going to, you know, put this on.
Straws in your nose?
Yeah, straws in your nose to breathe. It takes about 20 minutes in this stuff, and it's quick drying. I said, have you done it before? And they went, once. Okay, so how's this going to go?
Oh, man.
And I did about 4 of those. He says, now we need some with expression, like, you know, a growl, hold that. So now it's in your mouth, and you're in there for, you know, quick drying for 20 minutes. If you've ever had a mold done of your teeth, you know, that quick drying, very similar stuff, and not fun. But that, you know, was really paled in comparison to the application of the makeup. Once we did all that preliminary stuff in LA, we went over to London, and, you know, we shot the entire movie and just had that transformation to shoot. And the transformation took 5 days, 10 hours a day.
Oh, man.
Everybody was wrapped except for me and Rick and his group. And, you know, as I said, 10 hours a day in makeup for that transformation scene.
Did they shoot everything else for the movie before you did the trans?
Yeah, the entire film was shot. All the people, all the characters, the pub stuff, you know, the fun stuff in the zoo. You know, I remember we're in the zoo, we're in Regent's Park Zoo, and, you know, in the morning, and I don't know how many hours we were allowed to shoot, but I just remember going, why do we have all those extras over there behind, you know, while I'm streaking to pick up the red coat? Well, why do we have all those extras? They go, oh, those aren't extras, the zoo's open. I go, hey, how about that? How about that? So, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, then there's the zoo, later in that afternoon, where we have the wolf cage. Then they bring out these 3 wolves. Now these are real, yes, real undomesticated wolves. And I go, so what's the story? They go, I go, are they somewhat tame? They go, no, but they've been fed. I said, who's writing this stuff?
Oh my gosh.
And they go, no fast movements, no real loud noises. And I go, well, the script calls for me waking up and getting out of there as quickly as possible. They go, well, good luck. That's kind of how it went. I said, look, we're going to do this once, John. Come on. You know, I want to wake up. So, you know, of course, oh, yeah, by the way, you're naked. So you wake up, you come to. I said, and then I'm supposed to exit which direction? He goes, up and over. Up and over the back? Oh, man, this will be fun. I mean, how many hands can you hide this stuff? So that was it, take one take. And I said, I hope you get it. But as I was climbing up this was a set built. It started to pull apart. The grating started to pull off. I went, I'm going to land right on my ass. Look out, wolves, here I come. And fortunately, it held long enough to get up and scale over it. And that was it, take one, thank you.
You went through so many uncomfortable things. I understand when you were out on the moors, it really was so cold.
Well, it was cold, and then, what you don't expect to see are rain machines in England. Come on. So they had rain machines just to continue to have the consistency of, continuity. And there were other painful things, like having to kiss Jenny Agutter. Wow, that was difficult.
That's terrible.
Come on, Jenny. Cut it out, Jenny. There was just no end in sight. And we're in her apartment, and of course in her apartment she's got a shower. Well, there are no showers in London, at this time. So they had to build a shower on the set, and of course we had trouble controlling water temperature. Take one, freezing cold. Cut. Take two, scalding hot. We're in there trying to get this scene shot, and I'd be looking around going, how come there's a different guy on the boom now? This was a closed set, so it's minimum crew. But you look over and there's a different crew guy working now. They're taking their turns coming in to watch the scene.
That's nice, yeah.
But I love this. This is good stuff. Jenny, how are you, Jenny? Cover me up. Okay, Jenny, I'll cover you.
And one of the cool things about this movie to me is the whole transformation. And it's nice that you didn't want to do like the Lon Chaney one where you just sit back in a chair and he freezes and they do a little bit of makeup and they roll the camera, then they do a little more, roll the camera. This is an amazing physical transformation and the idea that it's painful.
Right, yeah, and the first thing that they being John and Rick collaborating on what this was going to look like, they storyboard the whole thing, so Rick would pretty much draw out the transformation as he sees it. Never having been done before, he's not really sure how it's going to look, what each stage is going to look like. And then, my question was, am I awake? Am I asleep? Is this euphoric? He says, no, it's painful. It hurts. There's going to be effects added. So that was the thing to go on with me. And it was just, and we did it, start to finish, where it starts literally like, and I'm struck with the opening scene, and we shot it in sequence.
Wow.
And as I said, it just took forever. The first thing I would do is get there at like 5 a.m. call with Rick and me, and he had like 2 assistants. And the first thing he'd do is take away my hands. So now I got no hands, I got these big paws on and that was it. All I had were thumbs. My thumbs worked, and my hands were inside, these big claws.
Wow.
And, you're going, when's lunch? And how's that going to work? and it didn't work too well, so.
No.
And then I was in the floor for like 4 hours one morning.
Was that where half your body was over the hole in the floor and the rest was underneath?
And I'm in there up to about here. This giant appendage that you see. The arms and legs. I mean, we're talking primitive. At my feet, they had little poles going through the floor, and there's a guy underneath working my feet. Like, I'm going, this is really high tech, And I'm reacting, and at one take, John wanted me to look straight at the camera. I knew it would never be used, and of course it was. Going, how come you did that? That's what they wanted, so.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, and that was a long period of time. I remember needing a break, but I couldn't leave the room, so that everybody left. They just turn off all the lights, and everybody take a 10-minute break, and they just sort of walk off, so I'm sitting in this floor. Like, this is a break, This isn't a break. But that was that.
Yeah.
I should tell you, too, the very first day of shooting was the porn scene, which you see in the movie theater that's playing.
Yeah.
Now, if you listen to that next time you watch the film, and listen to the silly dialogue that John wrote for these actors, It's really pretty funny. I mean, but the crew was going to walk on day one because going, what kind of movies is this you're making? You know, they thought it was X-rated film, so they were not pleased and they were ready to walk and going, no, this is playing in the background and all this other stuff. So please stick around. And they came around, But crew, they don't read the script. They don't really know what it is. Mm-hmm. They know what are they making, how many weeks, who's directing, and off they go and they start working. And so we had to explain, how it was going to go. But one of the fun things about it was being in England. Griffin and I, the only Americans, Rick, of course, with a work permit. We almost, weren't able to shoot there because British Equity, the Actors Union was so strict.
Oh, wow.
They didn't want us, they're going, well, do you know how many other jobs we're creating? All the roles are all British, all the crew. I mean, what are you saying? So we were, reluctantly given permission to shoot. But they said they insisted that they had auditions for actors for our parts. Little did they know that these actors, we'd already done months of makeup and all the preliminary stuff was already done, but just to sort of fulfill the requirement, they had auditions for David and Jack.
Wow, that's
and
so
they didn't
funny.
get the part.
What a surprise! Talk about Griffin Dunn. Another story I heard, and again I hear all these.
It's true.
Okay.
It's all true.
Thank you. Good night. No, I had heard that he was really pleased this was going to be his chance to really have a big role in a movie. And then when he found out that most of the time he wouldn't really be seeing him as he deteriorated, that wasn't quite a fair shot for him.
Yeah, there wasn't exactly, beauty shots as they made Griffin up. And he'd complain to Rick, and Rick would look at him like, did you read the script? Did you see where he decays? Did you see where each time he gets, a little moldier? And so, and he does, and has said in some shows, where we've been together. And he was supposed to be here this weekend. Unfortunately, he had to cancel. But yeah, he said he wasn't happy about it. And it was painstaking as well. I mean, he was doing makeup more than I was at the beginning of the films. He said they were saving me for last for that transformation. And Griffin would show up and he'd be not pretty.
Yeah.
But and particularly like that one scene, we're in the hospital and we're talking, and he comes to visit me, and there's this dangling piece of neck. Well, that wasn't planned. I mean, that's one of those little gifts of what the camera captures, and everybody's seen it, everybody's commented on it, and everybody's taking credit for it, saying this was really some cinematic, magic. Just one of the lucks of the draw. But I have to say, in this film, so many things just sort of happened for the better. Everything seemed to work out for us. The relationships, getting along with everybody, things that we were able to pull off. For example, the traffic accident in Piccadilly Circus.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this was a scene where we did not have permission, we did not have permits to shoot this scene.
Wait. You didn't have permission to do that?
That's correct, Svengoolie.
Oh.
You heard it here.
And all that turmoil was happening.
Yeah, and so it really was, okay, how are we going to do this? So I remember getting up really early. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning, because it just at the end, just at the pre-dawn shot, they're going to have all these stunt drivers at the 5 entrances to Piccadilly Circus converge on action with cameras mounted throughout Piccadilly Circus. And on action, they were all going to come flying into Piccadilly and crash. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, I remember standing there watching, all of a sudden, action! Cars flying in, crash, cut! Cars just disperse, and it was gone. And in like 5 minutes, it never happened. And they kept that.
Amazing.
And that was the master scene. Now then they built a whole other set for, the second unit to go over and do all the inserts that you see, where John Landis actually does a stunt, and he goes through some,
He went through a window, I think.
Yeah, through a glass. He's just recently recovered from a shoulder replacement, too, by
man.
the way. Don't try it at home, don't try those stunts. But that's just another one of those examples of something that we were able to pull off, and it worked.
It's pretty amazing that you wouldn't have the permission to do that.
Well, the British are pretty sticky,
Oh, sure, yeah.
But
I keep imagining John Cleese there. Going, no, I won't be doing that.
no, it's true.
Let's talk about something everybody remembers, the Dr. Pepper commercials.
Heard of it?
I'm a pepper, you're a pepper. First of all, what a successful campaign, because it ran, what, like four years?
Yeah, it was a 4-year thing. I initially, this was in New York. I was working, just as an actor, doing off-Broadway stuff, just trying to make a name for myself. This is back in the 70s, folks. Many of you probably weren't even born in the 70s. Anyway, so I went to a commercial. It was a dance audition, which my agent had to sort of talk me into. Because in New York, if you go to a dance audition, you can have real dancers. These are real Broadway trained. They have some of the best dancers in the world in New York. And so I went just sort of, to get out of whatever I was doing. And they basically taught us a routine. And if anyone had ever seen a chorus line, where they basically put a number on your shirt and they call out the numbers. These numbers, please stay. The rest of you can leave. And my number kept being called to stay. So this was started with 400 guys over the course of a couple of days. Then I got to 50 guys. Then I got called back and it was 10 guys. Then I got called back and there were 4 of us. And that's at that point you kind of go, there's a chance of this. And I just remember my agent saying, now there's travel involved, so this could be quite a long shoot. So what it turned out to be, make a long story short, at that last callback, I remember the lady just giving me sort of a thumbs up, nice try, what does that mean? And getting cast. And it was for 3 commercials, a 60 and 2 30-second commercials. And it turned out to be a 22-day shoot. You can imagine saying, well, now how does 22 days work out? Well, we were traveling. We started in New York. We ended in San Francisco. We went to places like St. Louis at the Arch. And we were in Texas and New Orleans. These were all segments of the first 60-second commercial, which was called Cross Country. It won them what they call a Clio Award, which were advertising awards, and got me a contract with them. They went, this is pretty darn good. So after that first year, once they aired, the commercials aired, it became pretty instantly successful.
Were there some that had celebrities in them?
Yeah, that we had different people. We even had animated characters, so it was fun dancing with Popeye as what we'll find out is we'd have to make sure our eye line was all, exact. Where's Popeye going to be and how tall is he?
I don't want to be a pepperhead.
Yeah, and so that was that. Plus there were casting. We cast all sorts of different people who were either well-known at the time or who were to become well-known. People like Jerry Hall, who people remember, married to Mick Jagger. She was a pepper, There are a lot of people. Jennifer Grey, a pepper. And so these were sort of obviously successful for them and for us. And it was an opportunity for me to go, wow, I don't have to work as a waiter anymore. What a job.
That's the best part.
Then the mailman becomes your best friend because they're bringing residual checks.
Sure.
And these were things where Dr. Pepper was sponsoring. It wasn't as big in college football as it is today, but back then, the Rockin' New Year's Eve, and I would do an appearance.
American Bandstand.
American Bandstand. I was on that show as well. That was more for my song, Making It, but It was also sponsored by Dr. Pepper, so it'd be like a double hit.
That's so cool. Okay, now, I think you'd know about this. Many years ago, you met a friend of mine who told you about a bit I did years ago that was a takeoff on the Dr. Pepper commercial.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that.
Yeah. Dr. Rabies, we called it. And I wouldn't be surprised if we actually have it to run right now.
Come on.
of all, I apologize. Secondly, I can't believe I was ever that skinny. But yeah, we had fun doing that. People you see in the background, of course, we couldn't get any actors, so people from the art department of the station.
Could they hear the music as well?
Yes, they actually could
okay.
hear it, so that was... Anyway.
Well, there's a Dr. Raby's story.
You sent me a very nice little note, in fact, that I still have, that I appreciate.
You bet.
It was a lot of fun. Another movie that we ran of yours, it's a pretty weird one, The Ice Cream Man.
Oh yeah, now that's
with
Clint Howard.
Clint Howard, yes.
No, please. I'm not sure it really deserves any applause. However, there's a cast, a number of people in that film that none of us saw each other. We'd all work at one day or another, but never the same day. So you go, wait, Jan Michael Vincent, who I was a fan of at the time, going, wow, I hope I get a chance to meet him, never met him. That's what happens in some of these smaller budgeted films, or really any budget film, when they, set up a schedule, you work on the days that character works, and you don't see the other people that are not in scenes with you. So
yeah, now I should mention that in that movie you're not really a very nice guy.
No, I got mine though, didn't I?
Yes, at one point we have Clint Howard offering an ice cream cone with David's head on it.
I know. Can you imagine the nerve of this guy? And then it's one of those things where, like, would you ever buy an ice cream from this truck that's coming down the street as the ice cream man? No, of course not, but you do in this movie.
I saw somebody else is making another movie with the same name, which I don't think has anything to do with the original.
Oh, that I don't know. I did my one ice cream man, and that was plenty.
Sure, because you're not involved with it, and I can just imagine the guy going, you have to choose another flavor. We're all out of David Naughton.
We're all out. Absolutely.
You've done so many great stuff. You were in MacGyver, The Love Boat, Grey's Anatomy, and on Seinfeld, you were the guy who was either on or off the wagon.
I was Dick, on the wagon, off the wagon. Yeah, that was it was a show called The Red Dot,
Yes.
We're going, what's on the red dot? What's that mark on your cashmere? Is that cashmere?
Yeah, that was the big one.
Yeah, so, but before that, and really how I got that particular Seinfeld episode, Larry David and I were on a show called Fridays. I don't know if anybody remembers Fridays.
Yeah.
And this was an opportunity to do live TV, which is really kind of, they're all down to the clock. And it was going out live to the East Coast. We were shooting in California, of course. And, you don't stand around after a bit was over because the stagehands are flying through with sets.
Sure.
And you got to get out of the way for the next, you might have 60 seconds to set up for the next bit. But yeah, Larry David and I did a medley of women's songs like I Am Woman, and I tried to remind him of that, which he was trying to forget, I think. But yeah, so that's kind of how that came about of playing that part.
That's true.
And they were not particularly, there wasn't a hit show when I did it. This was like in 1992, maybe 91 or 2. They were still worried about whether they were going to be renewed. I think the network was not sure. What did they think of the show? Did people get it? So there was still,
Sure, yeah.
I knew them when, but I think they did okay for themselves.
I think they did, yeah. And so have you. I have to say, I'm so honored that you were willing to do this with us. I've been a fan for a really long time.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks, everybody.
I think, David Naughton, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Very cool. What a great guy. And again, like I said, he's done everything. And that's one of the great things about, being a successful actor. You get the chance to do, the comedies and the serious stuff and, the commercials. And believe me, as someone who knows, doing those commercials can be very, very lucrative for you. I did a radio commercial once, and it was for Time magazine, And I had one line that was done off mic. And so the joke was that here's a guy waiting at a newsstand at like 4 in the morning to get the next Time magazine. And there's a guy waiting there, and he calls the newsstand owner, and the guy's half asleep. He's like, "What are you talking about?" And the guy who's waiting for the magazine says, "Oh, there's a lot of people here waiting. You're waiting for the Time magazine, aren't you?" And me, off mic, goes, "No, I'm waiting for a bus." I made more money from that radio commercial than I had in anything else in my life at that time. So, commercials, it's certainly an interesting business when you see how that works. I think it's pretty cool. And speaking of pretty cool, are we ready for our next David? I'm glad you did that because we're bringing him out anyway. This guy, another very versatile fella, an actor, a producer, and a retired wrestling champion. Please welcome David Arquette.
Thank you. What an honor.
Oh, it's nice. You grew up in Evanston, was it?
Yeah, I lived in Evanston when I was younger.
Wow. I wasn't on TV then, was I?
I'm not sure. I was pretty young.
I've only been doing this
I was
since
like
1979. So.
Yeah, I think you were.
Well, it's so great to have you here. Of course, you're doing the big Scream reunion.
Yes.
And you were in what? Almost all the sequels?
I was in 5 of them.
Oh my God.
Or actually 6, I guess.
And something to be proud of is the fact, with all the killings and murders, you never got killed.
Well, yeah, they tried quite a bit.
You got stabbed in one, right?
Yeah, I got stabbed in all of them, I think.
Oh, in all of them?
Yeah. I came back until the 5th one.
Yeah, Deputy Dewey.
That's
A
right.
very popular character, I believe. And I read something that said in the original script, actually you were killed off.
Yes.
But they changed that, thank goodness.
Yeah, Wes Craven called me to the set. He said, "David, in this first take, you're going to be coming out, and they're going to be wheeling you and load you into the ambulance, and you're going to be dead." And I said, "Oh, Wes, that's terrible." He
Breaking
goes,
it to
"I know."
you gently, of course.
Yeah. He said, "But in the second take, we're going to have you come out and he'll give a little thumbs up, and then we'll see if the audience likes you or not, if you live." And I said, "Thank you so much, Wes."
Oh, man. Now, Kevin Williamson wrote the script,
Yeah.
and he wanted it to be a slasher film that was based on the premise that movies don't create psychos, movies make psychos more creative.
Yeah.
And they certainly are in those movies. It's amazing.
I'm
to
sure
me.
they've made some very creative psychos in 7 years.
That's what the world needs now. Like, no one wants.
No,
I don't think
please,
they
don't
do.
be a psycho.
And I had heard that you, as a child, other than living in Evanston, you were in L.A. and lived near the Paramount Studios.
Yes, I grew up right down the street from Paramount Studios. So I lived in Chicago when I was like 2 to 4.
Okay.
So real early, but I fell in love with Bozo the Clown there. Then I moved out to, yeah. Then I moved out to, one of my favorite pictures is with you and Bozo. There's an amazing picture of you two together. I thought that was such a beautiful combination of 2 geniuses, 2 genius psychos. No, so then, yeah, we moved to Los Angeles and we lived right down the street from Paramount Studios. And I would walk when I was like 8 years old to Laverne and Shirley, Happy Days, Mork and Mindy, and I'd watch them without my parents, without any. I would just walk in and see them and then walk out. And one time I stayed after and I shook Fonzie's hand.
Oh, man.
And then I was on the set of Scream 1 and I told Henry Winkler this. I was like, It meant so much to me. Like, I love watching the cameras and everyone do it, and then seeing Fonzie in real life, I was like, and then I shook his hand, and I was like, oh, it meant so much to me. He goes, well, let me shake your hand again. And I was like, oh!
That's really cool.
He's one of the coolest.
And get to meet those people, you know,
Yeah.
as a kid. My gosh. And now, of course, as an adult, you get to work with so many of them.
Yeah.
Who are some of your favorite cast members from the Scream movies?
None of them, really. No.
Those lousy
No, they're
little...
all incredible. They're all incredible. Courtney Cox, of course, she's amazing. We had so many scenes as Dewey and Gail, and we have a child together, Coco, who's 22 now, and Skeet and Matt and Nev and Rose and Jamie, like that original cast. We were all just, and Earl Brown and just so many wonderful people. We just shared so many wonderful times together, and we didn't know how big it was going to be. That it would still be this popular this 30 years later or something.
Yeah, that's like when people say to me, when you started that many years ago, did you think you'd ever be still doing it? And I always say, when I got that job, I was just thrilled. Hey, I'm going to be on TV. and I was thinking more than, 2 or 3 months ahead of that. I never thought, 40-something years later, I'd still be around.
Oh my God, that's so incredible.
It's amazing. Just the way that things hold up. The old Universal monster movies, which we show a lot of.
Yeah.
They were a series, many of them. Specific characters like the Frankenstein monster and Dracula. And this is a more contemporary sort of same thing, really. Because the Scream movies, again, it's a series, and they continue, and the whole reason is because people like the characters, and they like the scary stuff in it as well. And I think it's interesting that, again, we were just talking to David Naughton about the American Werewolf. Yeah. These also have some humor involved in them.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the great things. I mean, Kevin Williamson wrote a script that really kind of took the fan base into account, and like the history of horror and the love of horror. And he kind of saw what's happening now in the convention scene before it even blew up to the level that it did. And it was just really, I don't know, the humor attached to it was really a huge part of it. When I first met, they were interested in me for maybe Randy or Stu or something, one of the high school kids. And I said to Wes, I walked in and I said, I really love the role of Dewey. And he's like, wow, that's interesting. I didn't even consider that. Because he was written more like a big meathead kind of character, which I am a meathead, but I'm a different kind of meathead. So I think I could really bring something different. And I really wanted to work with Courtney Cox. I thought that dynamic was really beautiful.
Sure.
And I was like, we could have babies together. No. One baby.
Okay. One of the most significant things that we see is, of course, the ghost-faced killer with that mask. And I've been told that a lot of different people played that. It wasn't always one actor.
Yeah.
And that at one point, Wes Craven even did it.
Was he in it one time?
That's one of the things I
my
looked up. It
gosh,
was like,
that's
Wes
funny.
Craven. I'm thinking, here he is, the director, and he's doing that? That's so funny. But is it the same voice guy that does the
Yeah,
actual
Roger
voice?
Jackson, who's here, and he's incredible. If you haven't had a chance to speak with him, he's just the silliest character. He's always doing these funny voices. And one of the weirdest things was on Scream 2, like, I had a couple phone calls with him up until that point, but on Scream 2, I had like a long phone call with him. And he was on the phone, and I was like, hello? I was like, hello? I was like, Wes, is he really here? And he's like, yeah, he's here. He's like, I'm here. I'm like, wait a second, Wes, are you telling me that this guy can see me right now? He's like, I can see you. I was like, wait, Wes, you're crazy. Was he on Scream 1? He was like, yeah, he was on Scream 1. I was like, does he stay at our hotel? He's like, no, he doesn't ever stay at your hotel. And I was like, we've never met him? And he's like, no, you've never met him. I was like, you are a madman. You're keeping that secret and like isolating this person. I don't know, that's just so fun.
Well, one thing I love about it, and I think this was the basic premise again, is that it kind of lifts the different little features from various horror movies and shows, that this is the way it works. And the people in it actually react to the fact that, well, this is what happens in horror movies.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was really a great premise, it's like, I'm not breaking the fourth wall, but in a way, I guess it would be.
Yeah, for sure. I think Scream 8 is going to be really interesting. There'll be a new director. There'll be a new, just approach to it. I think with Obsession, I think that they're starting to see that there's even more of this world.
Sure.
And they're going to be able to sort of explore it even more. I just think it may be a different version, but who knows?
But still, again, just keeps going, which
Yeah.
is so cool. Okay, I wanted to ask you about wrestling.
Yes.
Now,
I know.
You-
Some of you might not know. World champion wrestler.
he was a Portuguese.
Thank you. And I just heard that the other celebrity that held the same belt was Jay Leno. I didn't know he actually won the belt. I could definitely take it. Although I hear he's got a real chin.
But that is so cool. And it must have been really something and quite wear and tear on you to train just to be able to do what these guys do.
Yeah, when I did it the first time, I had done a movie called Ready to Rumble.
Sure.
And to promote it, thank you. And to promote it, I went and I did one event, and they were like, that went really well. I'm like, do you want to stay on and we'll make you the champion? You have to stay till the pay-per-view, which was like a month away.
Oh, man.
And I was like, whoa, wait, that's a horrible idea. But yes, I went. I'd love to do this. Because what happened was like, no, I think that's a terrible idea. And then Diamond Dallas Page took me aside. He was he played the heel in the movie. And he said, listen, David, if you don't do it, then it's over. Ready to Rumble's already come out. It's doing all right, didn't do great. This movie, if you do it, you'll be able to promote it for the next month. You'll get to travel with us. I was like, wait, I get to travel with you guys? He's like, yeah, we're going to airports and hotels and across the country. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. And I always thought it would be like a fan's dream. Like everyone wanted to be the champion. Like, I'm finally the champion. But then it was like an actor doing it. So they got really mad.
Oh,
they were mad for
really?
like 25 years.
Was there some animosity from the real wrestlers?
Oh, absolutely. It's real animosity. I almost got in a fight and everything. Yeah, it happened. They were totally pissed. And they wouldn't let me do anything. They wouldn't let me. They had some insurance policy, so I couldn't get hurt. So it was like they wouldn't let me do any moves or any kind of stuff. And I was so, if you see the pay-per-view, I do this jump off the top rope and then they roll out of the way and I just hit the, because the other thing is I couldn't hurt anybody, because I'm not a wrestler. So if I was to hit a wrestler and
accidentally hurt him.
Yeah, and then, but even if accidentally, even in wrestling, if I was to do a move and make them look bad, it would make any of these tough wrestlers look weak, so you couldn't do that. So whatever, they didn't let me do anything. So after 25 years of being sick of being that's a worse idea than making David Arquette the champion. And I was just so sick of it that I went back. Actually, I had a heart attack in a hospital, and I had to get 2 stents put in. And when I came out, my wife was like, are you okay? Did you think of us? And I was like, yeah, I know you guys love me and everything, but I was really thinking about wrestling. She was like, wrestling? I was like, yeah, I couldn't stop thinking about wrestling. I was like, it's just something that's unfinished. So I went back and I independently wrestled for 2 years, going throughout the country, and I did a documentary.
Did you get more training?
Yeah, I did. I finally really did train.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, yeah. And I did a documentary called "You Cannot Kill David Arquette." Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate you watching it. And then I did something called a death match, which I wasn't really. Well, I trained with luchadors in Tijuana, and I really learned a ton from them. And then I went around the independent scene, and then I did a death match with a guy named Nick Gage, and I wasn't really clear on what death matches were.
Yeah.
I should have known from the
you
title.
You hear the sound of it.
Yeah.
You might think that it might be hazardous. I don't know.
Well, I thought it was Nick Cage, and no, no, it's Nick Gage, and he's this ex-con. He robbed a bank. He robbed a bank, and they put the picture out, and everyone was like, "That's hardcore wrestler Nick Gage." Yeah, and even as his wrestling persona, he has a bandana over his face. Not when he robbed the bank, though. So there's this guy named Nick Mondo, who's a famous hardcore deathmatch, and I watched his documentary before I was gonna do it, and I was like, oh gosh, I'm really in for it. This is intense hardcore stuff. This is like a day or two before I did it. Oh. And they said things like, would you take a light tube to the head? And I was like, sure, I'll do a light tube. But I didn't know it. It's like progressed to the point where they put like 6 or 8 light tubes together. So it's like this huge, like 1,000 light tubes. So all this stuff happened. But when I went into that room, they hated me.
Oh no.
They were like, boo, spitting on me, actor, loser, blah. And then we did the match, and it went south very quickly.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I got stabbed in the neck with the light tube. Oh. And Luke Perry was there because his son Jack Perry is an incredible wrestler who I'd been training with, and he was there in a match that night. And Luke was living at our house when he moved out. Alexis, I don't know if you know Alexis from Wedding Singer. Yes, yeah, Alexis Arquette was incredible. And Alexis had done a movie called Terminal Bliss with Luke. And he said, sorry I'm jumping off, I have ADD. If you
No, it's okay. No.
So Alexis was doing a movie with Luke, and Luke was like, I'm thinking about going out to LA. And Alexis was like, don't think about it. Move out to LA right after this movie. It's pilot season. You could go up for some pilots, and you could stay at our house. So he's living at our house. He's renting a room, and he was like the best. My mom loved him. He would like take the trash out, and he was like a handyman. He was incredible. And I had gotten my first show called The Outsiders, which was based on the movie and book. And it was like the first show on Fox, a new station. And it was like their big show, and we were like in Teen Beat and all this stuff. And it was like kind of hot, sort of. It felt hot because we went to this big, like a Beatles style, like, people going crazy for us.
Wow.
And then I come home and I find out that The Outsiders got canceled, and Luke's like, my pilot got picked up. I'm going to series. Oh, no. And I was totally bummed, and he went on this like rocket ship of 90210. So we'd been friends ever since.
Oh, that's cool.
And he was there, and I come out of the ring, and my neck's bleeding.
Oh no.
And the crowd's behind me, and Luke's back there. He goes, Davey, it's Luke. And I said, Luke, is it pumping? And he said, no, it's not pumping. So I knew I wasn't dying at that moment.
I'm friends
and
with
the moral of this story is after that, like it got totally silent. Everyone thought they were witnessing a murder. And then I came back and I did a couple things, and then I blew it, but I went back in the ring and I finished, and I left, and by the time I left, they were like, yeah! And then I saw this guy, Nick Mondo, who I'd seen his documentary. I saw him a few weeks later at AEW, and he said, I had never seen that happen in a wrestling.
Wow.
Like the level of hatred to the level of love.
Oh, that's so
So
cool.
it kind of accomplished what I wanted, even though some people frown on deathmatch wrestling.
I was just remembering, in Ready to Rumble, you worked with somebody that worked with me. Melanie Moore, who was the girl who was big into Sean, I think, in the
Yes,
movie.
yeah.
She was on our station when we first started WCIU, the U, as an independent station. They had a bunch of young actors who were the crew on the U, and she was one of them.
Oh, that's sweet. I love that.
And I still see her every so often in commercials and things. So
Oh, that's awesome.
it's pretty cool. I would say
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I love that.
And I have to tell you, I'm friends with Mick Foley.
Yes, he's the best.
Yes, and talk
He is
about
the sweetest, kindest person.
he really is. You know, because all people see, you know, especially when he was Cactus Jack and all this. What is this guy? Oh my God! And then you find out he's a very loving, giving person. He donates a lot of time and effort to helping charities and people, and it's a total change from the character that he played at first. And I was always happy to see that eventually people got to see that side of him.
Absolutely. He's always lifting up wrestlers coming up. He's just such a great guy. I have a quick story about him.
Sure.
He loves Santa Claus.
Yes.
He's an
Oh, yeah.
actual Santa Claus. He loves Christmas like nobody else. He will write my kids Santa letters, like they'll send in what they want. He'll send out this calligraphy on paper of his own. And then he was in Nashville, living in Nashville for a while. I live in Nashville. And he said, David, do you want me to make a Santa visit tonight on Christmas Eve? And I was like, are you
man.
kidding, Mick? Yeah, that would be incredible. Thank you so much. I give him my address. And, 10:30, 11 comes by, and she's supposed to be here. She's supposed to leave some presents outside, and no, Mick, and he calls me. He's like, David, I'm at your address. And I said, Mick, no, you're not at my address. You have to come in through a gate. If you're out there's another address with the same street name. You're in the wrong place. You're in someone's backyard in Tennessee where everyone has guns. You're dressed as Santa Claus. Get out of there. So he went out, and then he came to our house, and then he came inside, and then we had our kids come out, and they looked and like, oh my gosh, and he's like this huge Santa Claus.
Yeah.
My kids were like blown away. They couldn't believe it. And like, it's Mick Foley and Santa Claus. It's like, when they get older, you find out, and don't show this to your kids, because Santa Claus is real. Sometimes you need a stand-in. But,
Can I ask you about your uncle?
my
Cliff
grandfather,
Arquette?
my
Oh, your
grandfather, my dad's dad.
Cliff
Yeah.
Arquette, who was, you guys probably know him, especially if you're our age or so. He was Charlie Weaver on
He was
Hollywood
on the old
Squares.
Hollywood Squares.
And he'd do all the late night talk shows too.
Yeah, the Jack Parr show. He was a
Yeah,
regular guest.
what was the bit? Letters from Mama?
Yeah, Letters Home to Mama.
Oh, that's so
Yeah,
cool.
he also had this bartender toy. I don't know
I
if you've ever
have
seen
one
it.
of those.
Yeah.
I do. He mixes a drink and then drinks it. And I think there's like a red light that makes his,
His red
face
nose
turn red.
his nose turns red and smoke comes out of his ears.
One of my
It's great for
proudest-
the kids.
One of my proudest possessions, you can guess
Yeah,
that. And we got to bring up, it's Chicago,
Yeah.
Bozo.
Yes.
The fact that,
Yes, sir. Beautiful Chicago.
that you now own the rights to Bozo?
I do. It took me 15 years to acquire the rights to Bozo. Thank you so much. We really are working on bringing a show back. My dream is to bring a show back to here, to, come through Chicago, to have a museum here for him, for
cool.
Bozo, yeah. And we have an incredible feature script that we have written.
Nice. I was fortunate enough to work with both the Bozos here.
Yeah.
A couple of Bozos.
A bunch of
And
Bozos.
the original Bozo here in Chicago was Bob Bell.
Oh, yeah, that's the one I fell in love with.
He was actually just an announcer at WGN. And one of the things I always loved about him was, he'd be doing the usual stuff, but then kind of do this little voice and throw in like little, jibes that I don't think the kids got, but the adults did. I just remember once they had like a dinner table or something, and there's chicken on it, and then for whatever reason, there's like a dove, a magician's dove or something that comes there. And the bird did what birds do often. And he immediately throws out, "Wow, it doesn't take a bird long to spot a piece of chicken." And it brought in a second level that we always laughed at. And then Joe Dioria.
Yes, Joey Dior is incredible, yeah.
And it's so cool. It'll be amazing to see what you can do with it here. Have you been to the Chicago Museum of Broadcasting?
Yeah, I wanted to go by this trip. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to.
If you get
with
the chance, because
schedule.
they have a huge display with costumes, the bucket number 6 and everything. And also my original coffin's in there.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to go there. If you get the chance, I think you'd really appreciate it. What else can we talk about? The fact that you've done so many cool things. You were in a live Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Yeah, I did. I played Frankenfurter. Yeah. Sweet transvestite. I have my favorite horrible review. It's from that. It's my favorite review I've ever gotten, and they annihilated me. But it was so right. It said, as David Arquette stomped across the stage, I couldn't help but think they cast the wrong Arquette for this role. I was like, they absolutely did. You're too right. I was very thick on my leg. I am very big old clumpers in heels. And then I did learn how to make my pasties spin. So I can spin pasties if anybody's looking for a good time.
Oh my gosh. Okay, one other thing I heard, and this is really cool. You were friends with Paul Rubens, Pee Wee.
Yes, he was one of my dearest friends. Oh, man, so cool.
I was at the New York Comic Con a few years ago, and we were getting set to leave. And you know how they drive around in a little cart behind the stage. Yeah. And the guy driving the cart says, "Oh yeah, I drove Paul Rubens earlier today." And I was like, "Wow, that's really cool." And he says, "Yeah, I told him you were here, and he said I'd like to meet him." Oh. And I never got to meet him because we were leaving at that time.
Oh my gosh!
But yeah, he was so much fun.
Oh,
so
he
good.
sure was. He loved you, and he loved all, the films, the type of films that you've made. He was just the sweetest person. I met him on Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah. And when he said, "Listen, I just turned you into a vampire. That means we're going to be friends for eternity." I was like, "Okay, thank you." And we were friends.
I know you are, but what am I?
That's so sweet.
David,
that
this
was a
has
good
been
one.
so cool. I've really enjoyed your work for so long.
Thank you.
And having you come up here again and spend this time with us, that means a lot to me, and I think to everybody here.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor. You're a legend. Thank you. Thank you all. I love Chicago.
David Arquette, everybody.
Thank you all.
And this ends the Night of the Living Davids. First of all, I want to thank all of you for showing up here. It's always great when we get the chance to do one of these Friday night talk shows. And tomorrow I will be back, not right here, but I'll be doing the celebrity photo ops. We'll be doing a signing, and you can take selfies there too for no additional cost. And don't forget the big costume contest. Every year, we have such fun doing it. The Sinister Visions costume contest. And if you go home early, you might be able to see me on MeTV tomorrow night. The movie is a Hammer movie. It's Captain Kronos, Vampire Hunter. Big fan of Vampire Hunters here, huh? And we'd like you to stay here because coming up, there's a great documentary on all sorts of haunted places. And the great thing is, I'm too stupid to remember what the name of it is.
Fright stuff. Fright stuff.
The Fright Stuff. There we go. Thanks for the help. And listen, thank you all. I always like to say, I wouldn't be where I am today and have the success I had without the support of everybody. So thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of Flashback.